Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday. Welcome into Boilermaker Lounge. I am Sam Sprunger, as always, joined by Grant Flora. Grant, it's the end of the week. You're getting ready to get real busy soon, but there's still some stuff that we can talk about when it comes to the Boilers.
Yeah, always a little bit to discuss with Purdue basketball. We're getting closer. We're through mid-August now, which is pretty crazy. Once we
Yeah,
get into October, we'll be gearing up for those first exhibitions and the regular season after that. So, yeah, we're getting closer to season and still some more things to talk about. We got some recruiting updates, specifically Luke Ertle for today.
yeah. You forgot one major component. At the beginning of October is media days in Chicago, so we do have that to look forward to as well.
Right.
That's kind of the kickoff to the whole start of the basketball season. So, yeah, media days they're fun because you can get some really good conversations going with players from whatever team that you're covering, and so yeah, it's a really good. Really good opportunity to get in and talk to those guys. But yeah, we've got some stuff. We got some recruiting information and stuff like that. But we've been talking in the past few weeks, uh, kind of uh, about Coach Painter and his style. You know, that he got questioned about being a star chaser and that he's he's got a certain way about it. We just didn't really have a ton of information as to what those points were, and so we found, or we had it. I guess it got published or something here recently. But Coach AJ, I don't know the rest of it. I took screenshots of this because I'm old, Grant. But he's on X. He talked to Coach Painter about, excuse me, or there was an episode of a podcast, and I don't have the name of it off the top of my head, but I can look it up while we're talking about this, Grant. But this is his secret for what looks for in recruits. And this is one of four slides that or screenshots that we've got. But right here, he looks for what rankings can't measure, and it's character, production, discipline. Now, um, the fact that he is getting the higher recruits doesn't mean he's run away from this. He's just finding the more talented ones, and I use the air quotes there, the more talented ones out of the chute that have these is what he's looking for.
Yeah, I mean, there's no rule or anything that states that a player can't be a five-star recruit
Right.
and also fulfill these criteria. I think that's kind of what you fall into when you start talking about Painter being a star chaser now, and like that's just different from what he normally does. Not
Right.
necessarily. It's just now some of these guys are five stars, so they are some of the top 50 or 25 recruits in the country. And if they also check off those boxes with the character, production, and discipline, why wouldn't you pursue those players? I think that's kind of what we're seeing from Matt Painter, at least these past couple of months with his recruiting.
Yeah, the podcast, or the I guess it was probably YouTube. It's a YouTube video. The Athletics of Business. It's from the Molitor Group, and it's the art of elite coaching, leading with integrity and purpose. Was the title of the episode, and this was back in November, so it was before last season played its way through. But it still stands to reason that all this stuff is still what he's doing. He's not changing just because they've seen success recently. I mean, if you're a believer in what you see on social media and stuff, Grant, I mean, just because we've had a few good regular seasons doesn't mean anything because we don't have banners hanging. That like we'll keep hearing that. And I'm sure if we would happen to get a banner this year, it doesn't matter. We've got more. You know who I'm talking about when I say
Yeah.
that. But the he's getting a lot of good talent that's finally deciding that Purdue is where it needs to be, in consideration at least for getting to their aspirations beyond college, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that goes into it outside of just simple talent with a basketball.
Mm-hmm.
You look back to the alumni game we talked about a week or two ago, and just all the people that showed up, came back, and the community and the culture that was built there at Purdue. Um, that doesn't happen if coaches like Gene Cady and Matt Painter don't recruit this way with the character and the
Mm-hmm.
production
Right.
and the discipline. And not only did they check those boxes off, but you have guys like Robbie Hummel, Jawan Johnson that were good recruits and talented basketball players that also checked off those boxes. And so now I think you can see some of these guys are a similar caliber, maybe the 2025 version of a Robbie Hummel or a Jawan Johnson, where they're good recruits. They're very skilled basketball players coming in. They can help keep what's going on with this program going well, but they're also guys that might come back after they're done at Purdue and
Mm-hmm.
play in an alumni game and add to that culture and community. So it's not even something we haven't seen before. It's just a little bit different than what we've seen in the past
Sure.
5 or 6 years, as opposed to where the program's at now.
Well, and for those of you just listening, this post on X is the best talent isn't always the most talented for your team and your system. Matt Painter's secret is look at what the ratings can't measure, the character, production, discipline. The result, though, Grant, the result of not getting those upper recruits, but just getting these people that follow these three main points, the most Big Ten wins in the last decade is what that has done. So you can't tell me he's not doing something correct,
Yeah, it almost reminds me of the movie Moneyball, if you've ever
Yeah.
seen that.
Yeah.
It maybe not exactly, and I'm not like a Moneyball nerd, so if I kind of
Right.
if I don't hit the nail on the head here, it's because I've only seen it a couple times. But it still reminds me of it, in the sense that like they're looking past like your stars and they're trying to find the value in the guys that don't seem to be as good, but are guys that you can come in and they fit your program well, and they turn you into a good team, even if they're not your 5 stars and your NBA first round draft picks.
Mm-hmm.
And the Painter has done a great job of successfully identifying those players, the undervalued ones, but that check off those boxes because they're saying, I'd rather have a player that fits my program, but isn't quite where he needs to be as a basketball player, because I can develop that. I can turn you into from a mediocre into a strong Big Ten basketball player. But what I
Because you
can't do,
possess these three.
right, because you have the character, production, and discipline. Those things are a little harder to teach, especially in I'm saying just 4 years, because these types of traits develop over a long period of time, and tend to have or be impacted by like how you've grown up and everything. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot harder, I think, to take a guy who doesn't fit your program from a character standpoint, for example, and shape him into a player that does, as opposed to how it is with a basketball skill set, if you will. I'd rather develop the skill set than try and change a person's character.
Well, let's take into consideration two of the big three.
Right.
Let's look at Braden Smith. Not very highly recruited. Uh, what can't you see from those tapes and things of him playing? Character, production, discipline. Those three things aren't necessarily measurable. They're not able to measure that. And the fact that, he was Mr. Basketball in the state of Indiana. So that's a good ball player already. You know that. So he's got the talent there, but the character of being able to really buckle down, make yourself better, get yourself better each day. The discipline to do that every day when nobody's watching, and it's really easy to take a day off. But it's obvious, after they got beat in the national championship game the next week, Braden Smith was back in the gym. There were clips of him he was in the gym. He has that. TKR, The fact that he took a red shirt and had to play behind Zach Edey, he could have easily A, just left. B, really not been happy and maybe disrupted that locker room. But he's got character. He's got the discipline to keep working on his game because his time is coming. I'm sure Matt Painter, and we'll get to the breakdown of the three different points that Andrew Poger put in there in these posts. You know, he's going to be blunt with you. He's going to tell you God's honest truth. He's not going to lie to you. There's no reason he should. So therefore, TKR knew that these days were last year and this year were coming. He had the discipline, he had the character, and he stuck around.
Yeah, those are great examples, especially Braden Smith. If you've watched any sort of like the Big Ten journey episodes or whatever,
Yep.
or any of his general interviews, like you can hear the way that he's so competitive, and that leads him to be extremely disciplined in the way that he develops as a player. Like you mentioned, I remember seeing stuff about him even when he was in high school, just the consistency and the work that he put in over COVID and everything that went along with that, just to be a better high school basketball player. Those are the kinds of things that if I'm Matt Painter and I see an Indiana Mr. Basketball who's not being recruited, but he's got all these great attributes, and he might not look like a traditional Division I college basketball player in the sense that he's not very big, he's not the most athletic person as far as like jumping to the roof or just being super, super strong or something like that. He doesn't fit necessarily that stereotype of a star Division I basketball player, but his discipline and his character and his competitive drive to be better every single day has turned him from a low recruited high school athlete to one of the best point guards college basketball's ever seen.
Did you see I don't remember who wrote the article. It might have been even on just SI for Purdue or Purdue on SI. how Matt Painter got Braden Smith recruited and he committed over that. You know what circumstances had to happen for that to happen?
I feel like maybe I've heard it before, but off the top of my head, I can't remember.
Micah Shrewsbury was an assistant with Purdue a few years back, and he was interviewing for jobs. He got the job at Penn State for the 1 year that he was in the Big Ten before he went to Notre Dame. He went to Penn State. Well, Purdue had a commit that decommitted from Purdue to follow Shrewsbury to Penn State, which left Matt Painter with a scholarship left. And he'd been in contact with Smith, but never had offered him anything officially. He did a lot of calling about him and stuff like that, and there were a couple of people that said this guy's going to be a great point guard. You really should consider him. Finally, he got him on a Zoom, and because this was all during COVID, he got him on a Zoom, talked to him. And at that point, during that Zoom meeting, if I'm not mistaken, the article, he offered, and Smith accepted during that time.
That's awesome. Yeah,
but
really crazy.
But it was a coaching. One of Micah Shrewsbury leaving to go to Penn State pulled one of those recruits with him, and we might not be sitting here talking about, being on the cusp of potentially a fantastic season with the best point guard in the country because he wouldn't be here.
Yeah, and that's the thing to keep in mind too. Like this is a mutually beneficial relationship. Like
Yeah,
Braden Smith has helped Purdue a ton, and Matt Painter bringing him in has been a huge part of what Purdue's program has been these last 3-4 years.
yeah.
But it's also done a lot for Braden Smith. I would be 99.9% certain that if Braden Smith ends up at one of those mid majors like Montana, I feel like is a name that gets floated around with him. There's no way he's one of the best point guards in college basketball. Like, so Purdue has helped him in pretty much the same way that he's helped Purdue. He brings Purdue championships. Purdue elevates him to superstar status. Like that's the kind of thing we're talking about here that Matt Painter has so masterfully been able to create at Purdue, or I should say at least develop. And it's a huge part now of what their culture is.
Sure.
Players helping the program, but programs also helping the players.
Yeah. Well, let's move to the second post by Proger, I believe it was. But number one, that brutal honesty. If you're going to become one of our top 2 or 3 scorers, here's how I'm going to use you. If you don't, then you're going to have to blend in with those top 2 or 3 scorers. He doesn't try to oversell recruits. He tells them the truth up front. That is and that's what we keep saying, and what we've been saying is we know that about him. And they're still in the running for a lot of the top talent in the recruiting classes. And I think they're really legitimate, top teams.
Right. Right. I think if I think about this as if I were being recruited by Coach Painter, but also by other coaches, they're just trying to say whatever they can say to get you to go there. Even if I hear something I don't love about what my role is going to be from Purdue, like, I don't necessarily want to blend in with the top 2 or 3 scorers in the way that Coach Painter is telling me to. I'm still going to respect that so much more because I know that what he's telling me is exactly what we're looking at. Like, it's not going to change because, like, once I commit now that I can't back out and all of a sudden my role changes. Like, this is what's going to happen if you come here, and you can trust that 100%. Whereas if there are other coaches out there, great programs. I'm not going to name any names, but I'm sure people would know. Have some people come to mind of coaches who might try and just say whatever they want to get these 5-star athletes to
Get them
come.
on campus.
Right. And if it's me, it's for me personally, I would kind of be hurt by that because it just shows they don't really care as much about me. They care about me being on their program and just doing whatever I can to help them. It's not that mutual beneficial relationship like what you have with Painter, where he is genuinely interested in doing everything he can to give that basketball player as good of a chance to succeed as he possibly can, while also that player being able to help the program succeed in that same way. It's mutual, and Coach Painter has that mutual interest. A lot of other coaches, it's all about what that player can give to the program and less about what the program can give to that player.
Well, and I see this as, Matt Painter's telling them, look, you can be one of our top 2 or 3 scorers, but this is how you're going to do it because this is how I'm going to use you. And if they don't want that, then they're going to have, if you still come to Purdue, you're going to have to find a way to be that accent or that extra to the top 2 or 3 scorers. You know what I mean? Let's use the big 3 as the example. CJ Cox isn't one of the big 3, but he's blending in with them. Now, did he get if you're going to be one of our top 2 or 3 scorers? Maybe not, because, he just may not have gotten this exact statement, but he's got to find a way to blend in. And I truly think, that Matt Painter told him, look, you're going to have an opportunity. We have a spot, that you're going to have an opportunity to play. But this is how you're going to have to do it. You're not going to be shot first. That may be what you're going to be a defensive guy. You're going to be a guy that occasionally scores, that type of thing. But CJ Cox knew that coming in, and that before he even committed, he knew that coming in.
Right. And yeah, he might not have gotten the statement of here's what's going to happen if you're going to be one of our top 2 or 3 scorers. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he did.
Oh,
because
sure.
While Painter isn't overselling his recruits, I don't think he undersells them either. Like,
right.
He says, like, who knows? You legitimately could have a chance to be one of our best players, who I don't know that people would have necessarily guessed that Braden Smith would be the best player even on Purdue's team when he came.
Right.
Some people probably could have, but he was not one of the highly rated recruits. And yet he's turned into what he is. Matt Painter probably saw that and said, hey, there's a legit chance you could be one of our top 2 or 3 scorers. Same thing with, Zach Edey. Like, as lowly rated as he was and as raw as he was,
yeah.
like, it was no guarantee. He was not necessarily expected to be one of Purdue's top scorers at any point in his career, but he turned into, obviously, a major
last year. Grant.
Right.
He was expected to be the top scorer that year.
Right. But I'm saying when he was
I know
being
what you mean.
recruited,
Yeah. Right,
I don't know
right,
that he ever
absolutely.
was expected to be one of their top scorers, but he still could have gotten that same treatment when he was being recruited as saying, "Hey, you could be one of our top 3 or 3 scorers, and if you are, here's how it's going to happen." He's basically saying to these guys like, "You have a high ceiling, and at Purdue, you could have. Um, there's no limit to how high you can get." But you also might not get to that point. And either way, we're going to use you. And either way, we have a plan. And here's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not saying that he's the most honest or brutally honest, coach. I don't know. I haven't heard any stories about any other coaches. I just know from interacting with him and then also seeing these things, that I don't doubt that he is as brutally honest as people think. How brutal can he be? What does he have to lose? You know what I
Right.
mean? I mean, you know what? The worst thing that this kid's going to do is not come to Purdue. I think he would fit well. This is how we think he's going to fit well. If he doesn't want that and doesn't want to come to Purdue, then that's okay. I will still get up in the morning to, coach the guys that are there. So I really do. It's refreshing to not have a coach try to blow smoke. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like, if a kid doesn't want to fit the role that you kind of envision them seeing, and they want a role that they can't have because they don't fit that part of the team, they're only going to hurt you. They're not
Yeah.
going to help you
Right.
if they're not willing to accept the role that's there for them.
Right. Right. Yeah. So let's move to the second point, character fit evaluation. He looks beyond basketball. It looks at your character transcripts. Does he miss class? How does he treat people? And then they do a personality test as well. And then your character shows up in everything you do. He's looking for the things that say, "Don't take me." So if he misses class, well, okay, well then he's not going to be one of our guys. The discipline falls into this part too. If you've got to be disciplined at everything that you do, and your character of how do you treat people. If do you hold the door open for somebody that's coming into a restaurant right behind you? Do you hold it open for them? Let them go first. Those types of things make for good and respectful people on and off the court, and it makes them easier to coach, I think, too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like, obviously with the missing class and the transcripts, there's a very surface level issue there. Like, you got to keep your guys academically eligible.
Right.
But I think it goes beyond that too. Like, um, how I feel like it's kind of a lifestyle thing. It's one thing to be disciplined at basketball and to go all in on basketball, but if
Right.
that's all you're all in on, I it just shows that your personality and your character isn't well rounded. Like, you have a passion and it's basketball, but there are other things that are important in life that you aren't willing to throw that same level of discipline into. And so things
Right.
like a transcript and how well you do in school, I think it's a great indicator to how overall your discipline is instead of purely in the realm of basketball.
And
And a lot those other
oh,
two
go ahead.
things are very similar to that. But yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was just going to say personality tests. I'm sure there are, a slew of different personality tests, but they found the DISC personality test is the one that they go with, I guess, I guess it's all in caps. So I'm going to assume that's the name of the personality test. But that's a good thing too, because you got to have somebody that's got a personality, that's going to blend well with everybody on that team.
Yeah, I've actually taken that personality test. We did
Oh, okay.
that at our athletic department for Indiana Wesleyan. So I know a little bit about it, but it does kind of just show um, just some different, like, obviously different character traits that you have, but also how they match well with others. And so that
Yeah.
might be what it
Yeah.
is like, you have certain personalities on your team. Does this one complement that? Or are you too loaded up in one area? I don't know if that's like what's going to make final decisions for Coach Painter on who he offers,
Makes it a
But
lot easier to do, though.
yeah, it's good to know at least what personalities you have on your team and who's likely to blend well with other people and whatnot. So it's interesting to me that uh, Painter uses that consistently.
Yeah, and you know what? The evaluation of character is really that's what gets me excited about, and we'll talk about him just a little bit on the backside of this number three, with seeing Luke Ertle jetting up in a lot of the recruiting lists because it makes me excited because he's already evaluated all this on Luke Ertle, and he's doing what he's doing. So, yeah, this is a key point. I really do because character matters. It absolutely matters, and those types of things carry over to onto the court, very much the same as they do carry off the court. So, production number three, production over potential. He leans towards production. You want productive players. The proof: Carson Edwards, ranked 90th, became a two-time All-American. Jaden Ivey, ranked 87th in his class, became the 5th overall pick. Rankings miss what matters most: hard work, effort, and discipline. What do you think about that there?
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like um, saying production over potential, it's almost a little confusing because I feel like Painter recruits a lot of guys that have a lot of potential and then he maximizes that potential. But I think the key is production goes beyond stats. Rank
That's what
because the
I'd
bottom
see.
line there says rankings miss what matters most: hard work, effort, and discipline. That's
Right.
production just as much as 20 points a game. So um, I think if you're looking at the potential these players have on the court, if they don't have the level of production in some of those intangibles, just like the tangibles, they're not likely to get that potential and to reach that potential. But if they have the production and the intangibles and they have the potential for the tangibles, then you have a good combination.
Well, and you can almost add another 1.5 to this. Um, Zach Edey, being
Yeah.
such a low-rated recruit coming into college, turns into a two-time National Player of the Year and the number 9 pick in the NBA draft. That's his hard work and his effort and his discipline throughout his college career got him to where Purdue benefited from it, but look at what he got, got through that as well. And then Braden Smith is the half because it's not finished yet. You're not 100% sure. You went to a national championship game as a sophomore, became the Bob Cousy Award winner in his junior year. Senior year, question mark. We don't know yet because that could be, national player of the year and national champion. He could go down as one of the biggest diamonds in the rough, I think, if that happens this year.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely you can throw Edie and Braden onto that list. But again, the key, both of those guys were very productive
Right.
in the intangible categories of hard work, effort, and discipline. They had the potential to be
Yep.
great. And because they had the production in those intangibles, they reached that potential.
Yep. Yeah. So I thought this was. I know we had talked about Coach Painter and his recruiting styles and things like that. Excuse me. But that was, I thought it was great that it came out on X to where I was like, oh, this would be perfect because it went a little bit more in depth. And again, the name of that oh shoot, I had just had it and it just went away. Of that show, it was on YouTube. It's The Art of Elite Coaching: Leading with Integrity and Purpose, and that is the oh shoot, the Athletics of Business, the Molitor Group put that out. I watched most of it. I didn't get it all in, but I watched most of it, and it was it was great. It was great to hear the guy behind everything putting into words what they do about going about their recruiting.
Yeah, they're even pretty open about that. I mean, if I had this
Oh, sure.
secret sauce, is what it sounds like, from Coach Painter. It's like he just finds all these guys. You might want to keep that close to your chest, but nope. He's pretty open about what he does and how he does it, and um, hopefully, I mean, just for the sport of basketball, hopefully more coaches start to lean into
Yeah.
that. But I feel like we keep seeing more and more transfer portal and oversee like all these different types of avenues you can do to get talent, and
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like they're vetting some of those intangibles, if you will, the same way Coach Painter is.
Well, we'll keep taking it.
Yeah, we'll keep winning games.
That's right. We'll keep winning the most games in the Big Ten over decades. You know what I mean? I don't mind that at all. But
Right.
let's move on to a little bit just to wrap up. A little bit of recruiting news. We touched upon it a little bit before, a little bit ago. Purdue recruit and commit and recruit for 2026. Luke Ertle went from number 95 to number 65. Grant in ESPN's top 100 for the class of 2026. What in the world? Like, this is amazing to me. He's going to come in uh, leaps and bounds better than what he was when he committed.
Right. I guess I'm surprised, or I could at least see him being ranked higher than 65th, to be honest,
Oh
with
yeah.
all that he's done. I kind of feel like that's they they want to bump him, but they don't want to bump him too high because he
Mm-hmm.
was already so low. Um, so I think he's just going to be an instant impact guy when he comes in. Potential for Omer Meyer still to be there. Like those two can really work well together. So I'm super stoked for that and super stoked to see who joins him in that class. But yeah, everything we just talked about with Painter's recruiting style, you can see it with Luke Ertle and the journey that he's had so far before he's even gotten on campus.
Yeah, and as Dustin Shooty said, uh, he feels that is Matt Painter's diamond in the rough because he wasn't as highly rated as he is now when he was recruited and committed. So the fact that he's doing it while he's still in high school shouldn't matter. He's a Purdue recruit, you know,
Hmm.
and so that's the exciting part. And that character, we fall back to that character. Somebody might say, well, he could get a better offer and he could just decommit. It's possible. I'm not going to ever say, well, no, he's not. But the fact that they really concentrate on character, that's a character thing right there. And that's not to say Luke Ertle doesn't get to campus and something just doesn't jive well, and he does end up leaving at some point to go to another college. I still think he did his commitment because he came to campus. So I don't foresee, and feel free to call me out if it would happen to happen. But I just think that with the type of recruits that Coach Painter goes after, I don't know that we've got to worry about a decommitment at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you never know, and it's not like Coach Painter and the staff get it right every
Right.
single time. Case in point, Cannon Catchings, like they recruited him, he committed, and then next thing you know, he doesn't even go to campus because he has some cold feet and ends up going somewhere else. So like, who knows? Maybe Luke Ertle. It's not impossible to see
Right.
that happen, but I'm with you. I'm very confident that he still shows up to Purdue and sticks it out. And I think that's the place he wants to be. I don't think he would
I think so
stick
too.
with Purdue and be like, oh, if I'd known I was going to be this highly
Right.
rated later on, I think I would have changed my decision. No, I think he wants to be at Purdue.
Well, and I think that committing that early means that he's really committed to a school. I can remember back when I was in high school, Mr. Basketball was Luke Recker, and he committed to IU after his sophomore season in high school. You knew that was the commitment, though. He ended up leaving. He went to Iowa to finish his career, but he did. I mean, he was committed, and he went and played in IU for 2 years. So I don't know why I always say, well, there's that caveat that he could leave. I don't anticipate Luke Ertle being in anything but old gold and black after next season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is. He just feels like a Purdue guy. And
Well, and it also feels like kind of like what Purdue fans do is we don't want to take for granted good things.
mhm,
So, well, Luke Ertle, he's coming, but he might. I mean, there's a chance. Yeah, we don't want to
yeah,
self sabotage. We're just
right.
yeah, but
Yeah, that's a good point.
we we don't want to go. We don't want to get cocky because you know what
Yeah.
this is a new realm that we're entering as Purdue fans, and that's okay. It's okay to not be 100% sure on how to handle some things.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to jinx it, in other words.
Right. I don't want to be that guy that jinxes it and then all of a sudden, things aren't good for a few years. But no, I kid, but there's some truth to that, I think, a little bit. But
Yeah.
there was one thing, and I don't remember exactly who was all on the list. There were a ton of but I think it might have been the Big Ten Network. They ranked their top 10 international players in I think it was the Big Ten Network. But well, let's say it this way: there were a lot of Big Ten players on the list. If it wasn't, but I mean, I know Illinois' got a ton of international guys coming in. There's some international guys around the whole conference, but Omer Meyer was the number one international recruit coming in. And like I said, I'm almost positive it was the Big Ten that they were talking about, and that's a big statement that we've got coming in Omer Meyer.
And let me be clear. I made a comment earlier about like, people getting international prospects and transfer portals as opposed to like what Painter's doing. I'm not trying to bash international
Oh
prospects
no,
here.
yeah,
I'm just saying I feel like some coaches, instead of, vetting guys and finding the diamond in the rough, like what Purdue's doing, they're going to go overseas and get really talented players from overseas and they're going to go to the transfer portal. Like as an alternative to kind of really doing the research and vetting
yeah.
these types of players that Purdue is getting. I would never try and say like international prospects are like are different from that because like they
They're a
aren't being
different.
vetted. You know what I mean?
Those are different. They're different in the aspect of uh, not every international player's game translates to the college level. They just sometimes it just doesn't work out, and there are some that are really really good, and some that you're like, oh, I would have thought he would have been better, and
Right.
so they're just as hit or miss as anything coming from this side of the pond, and
Yeah.
so but the fact, and I would even wager that Omer Meyer's probably one of the best international recruits uh, in all of men's basketball.
Yeah. I mean, you look at what these players have done and like their U19s and U20s, FIBA World Cups and whatnot that went on this summer. Like Omer Meyer was consistently the most productive. Like he just was,
Mm-hmm.
and he looked the part. Like he looks like a really talented basketball player. The numbers show it. There's no reason to deny what you just said.
Yeah. Well, it is definitely a lot of stuff to anticipate. Players are starting to whittle down their top lists. There are a few that Purdue or they're the few that we've talked about. Purdue's still on all of them, I believe, on all of their lists. I know some of them have 12 on their top 12 right now. Some have them down. Bo Ogden has down to 4, and Purdue's one of them. So there's definitely some, and I'm not saying that I anticipate any sort of answers anytime soon, but I think that excuse, excuse me, I think they'll start coming within the
Yeah,
next month and a half or so.
I feel like especially at this level, like you're gonna see them commit pretty early in their senior year. You're not.
Right.
I don't think we're gonna be. I think by the time the regular season starts for Purdue, like we're probably gonna have some more guys in that
Mhm.
class. So
Yeah, and once they start falling, and the big recruits start falling, that's when some will tend to start making their decisions. And if Purdue gets a couple of them, you may see them fill their roster a little quicker because they have to pull some scholarship offers, or scholarship offers have gone elsewhere. So okay, so once the top dominoes start falling, then it gets to the point where roster will be hopefully filled
Right.
for next year. Excuse me, goodness gracious. But yeah, it's a fun time, and it's getting ever so close to the media days in Rosemont.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like kind of like you said, what you're talking about with the
Sorry.
recruits. Like once a couple guys commit to Purdue, and there's only maybe a couple spots left in the roster, you might even see some more guys make quick decisions because they're like, hey, I do think I probably want to go to Purdue, and if I'm going to, I got to commit now
Right.
before other people do, and all of a sudden they got to pull a scholarship
Because
on you.
again, that brutal honesty, I'm positive that Matt Painter's told him, look, we want you. We think you would fit, but you're not the only one getting offered this scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody takes it before you do, it will be pulled back from you. That offer will be rescinded, and that's probably that happens. But we're talking about some higher rated guys that may have an offer rescinded because they just weren't quick enough. And what a great problem to have, Grant.
Right. Rather that than everybody go other places. So
That's
I
right.
guess we'll have to see what happens.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of this week's Boilermaker Lounge. Oh, Grant, we're getting closer. We're getting closer. Football's getting ready to kick off. I do some local radio broadcasting of football starting next week. So, yeah, it's that will help get us to basketball season too.
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Boilermaker Lounge. For Grant Flora, I'm Sam Sprunger. We'll see you next time.